I want to welcome everyone to Mishna Yomi. We are beginning Emeretz Hashem with the new cycle of Mishna Yomi, and for today's Mishna Yomi assignment, we are doing Berachos, Perak Aleph, Mishnayos Aleph through Beis. Me'emasai Koren Shema Ba'arvis. At what point in time can we begin to say the nighttime Shema? There is a biblical obligation to recite Shema b'shachbecha u'v'kumecha when you go to sleep and when you wake up. So at what point in time can we begin to recite the nighttime Shema? Literally translated from the times that the Kohanim could go in to eat their truma. Truma refers to the portion given to the Kohen. And the halacha is if a Kohen becomes tamei, becomes ritually impure, he must go to the mikvah. But even waiting for the mikvah by itself is not, going to the mikvah by itself is not enough. He also requires ha'erav shemesh. He requires sunset or nightfall. So therefore the Mishnah indicates to us that halacha l'maisa, you could begin to say the nighttime Shema as of nightfall, nighttime, ad sof ha'ashmora harishona. And you could do so until the end of the first third of the night. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. These are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. The Chachamim disagree and they say ad chatzos. Now they agree that the beginning time for the recitation of the nighttime Shema is nightfall, what we'll call tzeisa kochavim, nightfall. But what they disagree is the ending time. That Rabbi Eliezer holds that you can only say Shema up until the end of the first third of the night. The Chachamim say you can in fact say Shema up until chatzos, up until midnight. Rabbi Gamliel disagrees with the Chachamim. He says Ad she'ela amud hashachar. No, you could say the nighttime Shema all the way until dawn. So interestingly enough, three opinions. Everyone agreeing that the beginning time for the recitation of the nighttime Shema is nightfall, we'll call it tzeisa kochavim, but a three-way disagreement as to when the time frame for the nighttime Shema ends. We have Rabbi Eliezer until the first third of the night, we have the Chachamim until midnight, and Rabbi Gamliel telling us up until dawn of the next day. Dawn! So the Mishnah tells the story. Maisa Shavo Banami Beis HaMishnah. One time Rabbi Gamliel's sons came home from a wedding celebration, and they came back past Chatzos. Amru lo kavinu Shema. They said to their father, I guess Rabbi Gamliel was a good father. He was waiting up for his kids to come home. So they came home late, and they said, Father, it's past Chatzos, we have not yet said Shema. Amar lahem, he said, no problem. If the dawn has not yet arrived, then you're still obligated to say Shema. In other words, you're good. Until dawn, you can say the nighttime Shema. Now Rabbi Gamliel says not only that, none of that. Rabbi Gamliel told his son something amazing. When the rabbis say, like the Chachamim said before, that you can only say the nighttime Shema until Chatzos, they didn't mean it. They didn't mean until Chatzos. What they really meant is until dawn. For example, the burning of the leftover fats and limbs, sacrificial fats and limbs, you could do it up until the dawn. Furthermore, again, any sacrifice, any offering that has a window of consumption of 1 day, you really have until the dawn of the next day. So what Rabbi Gamliel is trying to tell his sons is, in general, whenever the Chachamim say you can only do something until Chatzos, until midnight, they didn't mean it. They really meant you could do it until dawn, until the dawn of the following day. So let's focus on Shema. So what Rabbi Gamliel is telling his sons is that the opinion recorded as the Chachamim, that you have to end Shema, you must complete saying the nighttime Shema by midnight, is not real. They don't really mean it. What they meant is until dawn. But if they meant until dawn, then why do they tell us to finish reciting Shema, nighttime Shema, by halachic midnight? Literally translated to distance a person from sin. Or on a very simple level, the Chacham understood that people often push the envelope, and people straddle the line, and people procrastinate. So if you tell people that you can say the nighttime Shema until dawn, so they'll procrastinate, they'll put it off. If you tell them until Chatzos, tell them until midnight, then what's the worst case scenario? Even if they miss the midnight deadline, in reality, they have until dawn of the next day. So the Chachamim wanted to create a buffer. And that's why they went ahead and they told us up until midnight, but really they mean until dawn. And indeed, that is how we paskin halacha l'maisa. Practically speaking, the halacha is that the beginning of the nighttime Shema could be said as of tzeisa kochavim, nightfall, and one has until dawn the next morning to be able to go, or dawn of that morning, to be able to recite Kriyat Shema. Mishnah Beis. So at what point in time can you begin to say the morning Shema? So the Mishnah says, Mishiyaker ben tchelas lelon. Ultimately, when there's enough light to be able to tell the difference between the blue and white strings on the tzitzis. Remember again, the mitzvah of tzitzis in its purest form has something called tchelas, a string, dyed blue. When there is enough light to tell the difference between the tchelas, the blue and the white strings, you can begin to say the morning Shema. Rabbi Eliezer or no, ben tchelas lekarti. When there's enough light to tell the difference between blue and green. Remember again, you need more light to tell the difference between blue and green than you need for blue and white. The Gomra ad Hanitzachama, and the ideal is to finish Shema by sunrise. Now the truth is, the reason you'd want to finish Shema by sunrise is not really about Shema, but it's really in order to allow you to go ahead and recite Shmona Esrei at sunrise. So in order to recite Shmona Esrei at sunrise, you would finish Shema right at sunrise. Rabbi Yeshua says, Ad Shalosh Shalosh. Rabbi Yeshua says, no, you should actually say Shema up until 3 hours into the day. Shekin derech b'nei melachim la'amol b'shalosh shalos. Because it is customary of royalty to sleep until 3 hours into the day. Now, remember, when the Torah speaks about the obligation to recite Shema, the Torah uses the phrase b'shachbecha u'b'kumecha, when you go to sleep and when you get up. So therefore, again, what the Rabbi Yeshua is focusing on over here is as follows. You could recite the daytime Shema as long as it is what the Gemara calls Zman Kima, a time that people are getting up. And when are people getting up in the morning? Well, royalty gets up even late. They sleep late, 3 hours into the day. Therefore, that is called the time when people are arising, and therefore one could say Shema up until this time as well. If let's say you end up reading Shema after 3 hours into the day, past 3 hours, then you are no longer fulfilling the mitzvah of Shema because it's no longer morning Shema, because morning Shema has to be said at a time when people are getting up, and that's up until 3 hours, but you still get reward as if you were learning Torah. And indeed, that is how we pass in halacha l'maisa. We say that you could begin to say Shema from the time of what we call Mishiyakir. So we translate it as when you could recognize someone who you are somewhat familiar with at a distance of Dalet Amos, 6 feet. So for halakhic purposes, that is approximately 50 minutes prior to sunrise. And one could recite the morning Shema up to 3 hours into the day. Past that time, once one has missed Zman Kriyas Shema, so one no longer gets the mitzvah of reciting the morning Shema, but one does get the mitzvah of learning Torah through the recitation of those passages. We'll stop over here for today. Shkayach everyone. Looking forward to a beautiful new cycle together, and a good tavach.